Hello book lovers, and welcome back, or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe, and welcome to the start of a new vlog. Yes, I am currently being blinded by the setting sun. Why do you ask? I'm looking very glowy, but that is because I have sunscreen on and it is a little bit oily, just being responsible with my skin. But this is the start of a challenge vlog where I will be seeing how much I can read in 24 hours. Not a 24-hour reading-a-thon, but essentially I will start the timer every time I'm reading, and once we hit 24 hours, that is when this vlog will end. Fingers crossed it takes about a week. I'm hoping that it doesn't take too much longer than that, but we will see. I have a feeling that I probably read less than I think I do. But that being said, this month for June, I ended up doing a bingo board for my TBR. If you have not seen my TBR video, I will have it linked up above so you can check out what 25 books I am hoping to read this month. I'm not going to read 25 books this month, but essentially the list of 25 books that I will be choosing from throughout this video. Now, I obviously want to be kind of strategic with the books that I am selecting, because while I'm definitely not getting a blackout, I do want to see if I can get a bingo this month. I'm not really aiming for a bingo in this specific video. I don't want to confine myself to just one row, but I do kind of want to set myself up for success to potentially get a bingo down the line. I do usually read a physical book and a ebook at one time, so we are going to go ahead and see which physical book and which ebook we are going to be starting this challenge off with. All right, so here is my bingo board that I will be working off throughout this month, and I decided that it would probably be a smart move to start with some corner pieces. Luckily for me, the bottom two corner pieces are both ebooks, so I can really start with either one of those. They are also by the same author, Mars Adler, who is actually on this bingo board 3 times. I recently bought a bunch of new books from them because they were having a sale, and I am very eager to get to them. After thinking about it for a few days, I will admit I have been racking my brain for a few days. I decided that I would start with First Creation. Now, this is a horror erotica, as most of Mars's books are. I'm not sure if it would fall into the romance category as well, so I'm just gonna hold off on saying that, but there's definitely going to be some romantic tensions. I don't know if it's the start of a series or if it'll have a happily ever after, happily for now. I'm going into it relatively blind. The main thing that I know is that this is taking place in an alternate reality where the war between angels, and I guess technically demons or fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, continues to this day. So it's modern setting, however, there is still that holy war that is occurring. And we are following an angel and a fallen angel, and the two of them seem to have stumbled across some sort of dangerous secret that has caused them to flee together to the mortal realm. Now, they seem to be seeking shelter in a church, an abandoned church, and there they start to grow closer and closer. And then on top of that, it mentions that God is missing, but someone is still calling the shots. So seems like there's some sort of false god directing the war. Lots of interesting stuff going on, and I am excited to see if I enjoy it like I have all their other books. Then moving on to the physical books, I decided to go for another corner book, and I am going to go ahead and select The Husky and His White Cat Shizun. It is well past time for me to start another Donmi novel. I think I finished Heaven's Official Blessing sometime in the first quarter of 2025, so it has been over a year that I've been meaning to pick up this book. I have to admit, Donmi novels can be a little bit of a commitment. This is only my second Donmi novel that I will be reading, or second series that I will be getting into. Heaven's Official Blessing was 8 volumes long. So, but essentially these are boy love stories that are translated from Mandarin, and they were initially web novels, and so they're not paced the same way that a regular novel is. So one thing I learned from reading Heaven's Official Blessing is that for me, it is important to kind of binge the series. And when I say binge, I mean try to get to at least 1 volume a month, and to get to them relatively consistently, because these stories have quite a lot of characters in them. They also have a lot of plot points, a lot of like small plots and major plots. And because they were originally written as web novels with just like weekly chapter updates, sometimes you finish a volume in the middle of a plot point, so they don't have the most natural start and finish. So it's easier just to kind of like go with the flow with them a little bit more. I apologize for the bad lighting. I could close the blind, but then I feel like it would get too dark, so we're just gonna suffer through it for now. But in this book specifically, we are following a man who came to power, and he was rather brutal in his life, and he ends up dying and being, I guess you could say, reborn as himself as a young man. And he is essentially getting a opportunity to relive his life. Now, he's not taking this opportunity really to be a better person initially. In fact, he's kind of hoping to speed up the whole coming to power process by using the knowledge he has from his first life. And he ends up butting heads with his teacher of cultivation that he had a lot of beef with during his first life. But this time it seems like maybe things take a little bit more of a unexpected romantic turn. So this Donmei novel is very popular among the Donmi lovers, so I have relatively high expectations for it, and fingers crossed that I get to jump onto the bandwagon for this. Alright guys, before I go permanently blind because the sun is shooting rays directly into my eyeballs, those are the books that we are going to be starting this challenge with. I will go ahead and do little daily updates to kind of let you know where I am with my reading as well as the time. So I will go ahead and check in with you later. Mom is going to show up any moment to let me know that it is time to go. It is Saturday. We started this challenge on Thursday evening, and I probably won't be doing much reading today because we are going to be driving all over, visiting a bunch of different gardens. So I figured I'd do a check-in now to let you know how I have done so far. I have read for 4 hours and 45 minutes so far. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. But I don't feel too terrible about it. So we're going with it. I have primarily been working on my physical read, which is The Husky and His White Cat Shizun, Volume 1, and I have read 182 pages so far. The good thing about Danmi novels is that they have a rather large text and margins, so you get through them relatively quickly. I am kind of regretting picking this up because I think I'm going to be doing a page count challenge later this month, and this would have been a good pick because you get through it relatively quickly, but you know, you live and you learn. But I am enjoying this book for the most part. It's quite humorous, and so I have been enjoying laughing along with the character who is a bit of a shithead, I'm gonna be honest. There are some aspects of the story that make me just a smidge uncomfortable. So essentially we are following Moran, and he became emperor, the first emperor of this region. Essentially there are a bunch of different sects who are either like Buddhist, Taoist, or just different groups of cultivators, and none of them has ever become supreme ruler because none of them have been willing to commit the war crimes that our character has been willing to commit. So he was not a well-beloved ruler, and he was not a good ruler, and at 32 years old he ends up committing suicide because a large army has formed at the base of his palace, and he's like, well, I had a good run, peace out everyone. And he actually ends up being reborn as himself at 16 years old. So essentially at this point in the story, he is 16 years old. I have to keep reminding myself that technically he remembers his previous life. So he is a 32-year-old man in the body of a 16-year-old. But based off what has been said, this guy was a horny 16-year-old. I mean, I don't know, teenage boys, I guess, are kind of known for being frisky. But this guy thinks about sex so often, and I'm like, 32-year-old man, 32-year-old, not a 16-year-old, not a 16-year-old, because as a 30-year-old, I don't want to hear it. When it comes to a 16-year-old, I actually ended up checking to make sure that he ages, and the internet was like, yeah, there's quite a few time jumps. So far he's still 16 years old, but hopefully we see him age sooner rather than later. At this point, essentially, he has realized that he has been reborn. He is just finishing up his first year of training as a cultivator. He obviously was really powerful when it came to cultivation, but now that he's 16 years old again, he's weaker again, but he's like, that's okay, we'll just train, we'll get back to where we were, and we're gonna do some things differently. The first one being that there was a young boy that he was training with who he loved dearly, who ended up dying in his other life, and he's pretty set on making sure that this young boy does not die and that the two of them can stay together and hopefully be romantically involved. That's kind of his goal right now. That boy is obviously not the love interest of the story, so something is gonna change because our character also realizes that his Shizun, who he had killed in his past life, is also alive and well, and he has very complicated feelings for his Shizun. He is kind of an asshole. They both are. They deserve each other. They're both problematic in my opinion. And his Shizun is very much known for being rather brutal, but he is also very powerful, and deep down he really does care about the well-being of his disciples, but he's pretty violent about it sometimes. Like, he's out here breaking people's legs and whipping them and things like that. So our character has very complicated feelings for him because he fears him, he hates him, but he also has like a respect for him. And it seems like, based off of what we've learned, they had a little bit of a hate fucking situation in his past life before he ended up killing his Shizun, and he had very complicated feelings about killing him. So I feel like at the back of the story it says, yet as Moran shamelessly pursues his own goals in this life he thought lost, he begins to wonder if there might be more to his teacher and his own feelings than he ever realized. So it's very clear that he had complicated feelings for his teacher this whole time, but he always focused on the negative ones. And this time he might focus a little bit more on the positive ones, realize that he was a little bit obsessed with his teacher and didn't just hate him. So that'll be interesting. But so far in the story, we've essentially been getting settled into this life, getting to know the side characters, getting to know our characters, and I've been enjoying it so far. I've enjoyed all the side characters, our character, and once again, it has been quite funny. So I have enjoyed the humor, and it has just been a quick and easy read so far. So that is the start of this book. There are similarities. I shouldn't compare it to Heaven's Official Blessing. They are obviously different books written by different authors, but there are some similarities because both of them deal with the aspect of cultivation, and there are also some differences that this one is definitely for maybe a little bit older audience, or they're both rather brutal when it comes to like the violence and the harm that comes to her characters. So I wouldn't really say either of them are for a young audience, but this one is definitely for the raunchier crowd. So I'm having a decent time and am intrigued to see where we go in this first volume. As far as my ebook, let me scooch over a little bit, which is First Creation. I have only read 18 pages of this, which is essentially the first chapter. This is a really short book. It is less than 100 pages. It is essentially a novella, and I think we've kind of been plopped into the story a little bit where we're in that situation where we're kind of just getting hints of things that have happened, and so we're a little bit lost in the sauce right now. But that being said, I do enjoy Marza's writing, and I definitely am intrigued to kind of get to learn more about what has happened. Essentially, we have been hinted at that our two characters met at some point in heaven. One of them, the fallen angel, seems to have maybe infiltrated the angels at some point, and our angel character has chosen him over his brothers, which is obviously problematic for his brothers. They're like, you're a traitor, and they have fallen to earth and have been traveling and trying to avoid capture for the last 2 weeks before they have stumbled upon this church, and they have decided they're going to stay here and rest for a while because our angel character is quite injured. It's very clear that our angel character has some complicated feelings right now. He is unsure about the decisions that he made. He's unsure about this half angel that he's traveling with. He is feeling things that he does not want to feel, primarily a sort of attraction to this angel. He feels like he's feeling sinful things, and he's trying to repress those, but he's not doing the greatest job. You know, he's very tired at this point, and I have a feeling that he is going to give in relatively soon to those feelings. But like I said, I've only read 18 pages, so far I am having a decent time, but haven't read enough to fully pass any sort of judgment or anything on the story. So that being said, that is what I have read so far. Like I said, probably won't do much reading today, so I probably won't check in with you until maybe tomorrow late evening or Monday morning, but we'll see how much reading I get done. But I would say not off to the worst start.
It comes and goes in the blink of an eye. Soon as I swear you've been left behind, all the colors come back so bright. Wish I could keep you in black and white, sorta like a picture in a drawer I don't wanna look at anymore, but it's too hard to ignore that I'll never not feel like yours. Holding on to someone new's the only time I feel like still holding on to you. It's like an instant rewind to New Year's Eve at midnight. Taste your lips like Naparella. Wish I wasn't looking back on you, but I still do, I still do. Deja vu, deja vu.
But your parents came in the cul-de-sac, leaned back in a leather-clad seat, pack of spirits in your Prada bag. Suburban summer 17 was a roller coaster ride, a manic pixie dream girl right beside me, and she said she liked me, but I bet it was a right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd held on tight, she'd still be sitting by my side. I'll never know, I'll never know. I don't like messing with regrets, but I doubt you'd ever leave my head. What could I have done, could I have said? I'll never know, I'll never know. I'll never know, I'll never know. We were nothing alike and I kinda like that. Came from different sides of the crosstown tracks. Guess it's true sometimes opposites attract, but it never lasts. So maybe it was just the right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd held on tight, she'd still be sitting by my side. I'll never know, I'll never know. I don't like messing with regrets, but I doubt you'd ever leave my head. What could I have done, could I have said? I'll never know, I'll never know. I'll never know, I'll never know. I'll never know, I'll never know. You made a country club pool feel like Malibu Beach. Sure, your parents had money, but you like to drink cheap. Should've known the first moment you're out of my league, but you said you liked me. Oh, I bet it was a right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd held on tight, she'd still be sitting by my side. I'll never know, I'll never know. I don't like messing with regrets, but I doubt you'd ever leave my head. What could I have done, could I have said? I'll never know, I'll never know. I'll never know, I'll never know. I'll never know, I'll never know.
Hello everyone, it is Sunday evening. It is 7:30. So I figured I would do a little bit of a check-in on The Husky and His White Cat Shih Tzu, because that is the only book I have read so far. Haven't made any progress in my ebook at this point, but I have read 287 pages so far, and we have read for a little over 7 hours. I don't know how to feel about the fact that it has taken me 7 hours to read not even 300 pages. Is that normal? Am I a slow reader? I mean, I've always known that I'm a little bit of a slow reader. I am a little bit of a slow reader. I will admit to that. So this is just proving that. But we were chugging along. I would say we are over halfway, just a smidge over halfway through this book, and I'm continuing to enjoy it for the most part. The last few pages that I have been reading, we have essentially been following them as they have gone on to this little mission, and we got to learn a little bit about that situation. And sometimes when I'm reading these stories, I feel like they go a little bit too in depth with these plot points, because to me they're just like a little story along the way, but then I have to remember that these are web novels, and so these little micro plots are kind of confined to their own little chapter, and they're like their own little story and not just a blip along the plot like they are for me. I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like I completely over complicated that, but essentially I sometimes feel like we get these chapters where we are learning more about the characters that they are helping, and I'm like, no offense, I don't care about you, I want to read about the main characters, but this is just part of the plot and it's just part of the story. So that's kind of what we've been doing, and we have been getting a little bit of Chu Wenning's point of view. Now, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but either way, he is the Shizun. He is Moran's teacher. I always feel like I'm saying his name is Moran. Like he's a moron, but it's Moran. Moran. But we've been getting some of his perspectives, and he is someone who isn't really good with experiencing a range of emotions, like, which I feel like is the same as Moran. Moran is kind of like a black and white kind of guy. He's either happy, he's angry, he feels things in like a lot of extremes. He doesn't like dive too deep into complex feelings. That's why he's so confused about how he feels about his teacher, because he's like, I don't know if I hate you or if I like you, and so I'm not even gonna think about it, and I'm just gonna like focus on like how much I hate you. But I have a feeling like throughout the story he is just gonna learn more and more about the positive things that his teacher has done for him throughout his life that he kind of overlooked. And I just think it's funny that we have these two, I would almost consider them like emotionally inept guys that are kind of into each other, but they don't really know that because they're emotionally inept. But I did have to go ahead and look up to see what Chu's age is, because obviously Moran is 16 in this book. I think I got it kind of wrong. I thought he was 15 going on 16, but it seems he was 16 when he arrived at the training grounds, and he's been there for a year, so he's more 16 going on 17 at this point. And I looked it up, and his teacher is like 21, so you know, it's not terrible. It is a little bit on the sketchy side, but I feel like based off of the time period, like the people that we were just investigating that they were trying to help, they were talking about this couple that got married when the couple was like 14, 15 years old. So I feel like age-wise things happen a little bit sooner than they do in like our modern day and everything because of the historical setting. And so I'm just kind of trying to not be weirded out about it. But I kind of feel bad for Shizun because it's clear that he is kind of lonely, but he doesn't have the best personality. And it's clear from his perspective that there are a lot of things that he does to help people. He is really good at inventing, and he's constantly inventing like these new weapons for the young disciples to increase their chances of surviving missions. He is like really determined to make sure he decreases other people's suffering, which is weird because he loves to whip people. He's always whipping people. Like he has this little like this willow branch that has cultivation power in it, and he's just beating people up with it left and right. But like deep down he really wants to help people, and he spends hours and hours on these weapons to help keep other people safe, despite the fact that he's like, I don't need these, like I'm totally fine without them. Like he is doing it for a completely selfless reason. Like he really gets nothing out of it. So sometimes his behavior kind of confuses me now that I'm getting a better look inside his head, because it just doesn't match up. So I'm curious to see exactly why he acts the way that he does. And I feel like it might just have to do with the fact that he doesn't really know how to emotionally express himself. And he must have grown up similar to Moran in a situation where life was more negative. So he has more experience expressing negative emotions similar to Moran. And I just find that I'm quite curious to watch these characters develop throughout the series, because I feel like they definitely are going to have to learn to express themselves a little bit better, because they kind of suck at it. But yeah, that is my update for now. Yesterday, I just want to give a little update about life. So if you don't want to hear about it, you can skip, I guess. But it was a good weekend. I would say I didn't get much reading done, but I spent a lot of time outside, which I am really happy about because the weather is absolutely gorgeous, and I've just been wanting to soak up all the vitamin D. All us Washingtonians definitely have a vitamin D deficiency. No, literally. I literally have a vitamin D deficiency, which reminds me I'm supposed to be taking 2 vitamin D tablets a day instead of 1, and I haven't been doing that for the last few weeks, but hopefully the sunshine is making up for that. But we ended up going to visit some gardens yesterday. These were privately owned gardens, but essentially there's this group called the Puget Sound Goat Rescue, I believe that's their name, and they help take baby goats and see if they can foster them out or even get them adopted. Or they also have a way for you to sponsor a baby goat, where essentially you make a monthly donation and you are able to provide for that baby goat even if you can't like physically take it in. I'll have their link down below in case you want to check them out and everything. So they went ahead and reached out, the woman who runs that organization reached out to some of her friends who are really into gardening and asked them if they would open up their yard. And essentially you would have to buy a ticket, but then you get the addresses for these homes, and you're literally, it would be like if you came into our yard and just walked around and we're like, ooh, ah, wow, so pretty. So we went ahead and did that. We went to most of them, but there was, I think, 1 or 2 of them that were further away, like an hour or so away, and we just didn't get to those. But the first one was absolutely stunning. It was very much like Japanese garden coded, and I am a big fan of Japanese gardens, and it was just so lush and beautiful. So that was the first one that I showed, with like the pond and the pool, and had like a gazillion plants, and there was a black cat there too, so that one was really nice. Then we went to one that had a horse farm. They were on like 10 acres, and they were the ones that the river was on their property. I was like, y'all got a whole ass river on your property, like with bridges and everything, which was kind of crazy. And like yard wise, it wasn't as impressive like when it came to landscaping, but definitely the fact that they had like this beautiful river flowing through their property was definitely something. And I got to pet the horse, which was nice. I used to be kind of scared of horses. When I was young, I took some riding lessons. I had a friend who was really into horses, so I took up riding lessons just to like hang out with her, and I didn't have a problem with that really. But then one day a horse smashed my head between its butt and the stable door, because I got in between it while I was like turning. Like, it didn't, obviously the horse didn't do it on purpose, but I wasn't wearing a helmet and it really hurt. And then ever since then I have just been like, horses are scary, they're really big and I don't know how to handle them. But then, was it last year or the year before? I want to say it was last year. My friend, she kind of did this thing where she was partnering with this group that does equine therapy, and she asked if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, we'll try something new. And essentially equine therapy is where you interact with horses as a form of therapy, because horses are really in tune with your emotions. Like, they can tell when you're stressed and when you're scared, and you really have to like be focused when you're around them, because like if you're trying to lead a horse, you have to look where you're going, because if you're walking in one direction but you're looking in another direction, they will follow where you're looking, not where you're going. And so you really have to be like in the zone, and you have to be like calm and everything. And I really enjoyed that experience, and I did like a really good job. They're like, wow, you're doing so amazing. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm kind of good at this. And I was even able to work with one of their more difficult horses. So my fear of horses has kind of been like overcome. I obviously still have a lot of respect for them, as you should, all creatures. But because of that, I was more than happy to pet this horse and say hello to her and everything. She was a real beauty. She walked over to me and said hello. Probably was hoping I had food or something, but I didn't. But but other than that, it was a really nice day that we had. And then today, for the most part, I spent some time downtown, just kind of browsing the stores and then doing some reading by the water in the shade, because that's just what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be outside and relax. I just really felt a little bit exhausted, like I didn't really have the energy to do anything. I ended up filming my wrap up for May. We'll see how it turned out. I don't think I was at the top of my game for that video, which is a bit of a bummer, but I had to film it today. It's kind of the way it goes. But we'll see. Next weekend I am doing some traveling, and I was gonna see if I could film a video like before or after that weekend, since obviously while I'm traveling I won't be able to film it. But I'm also wondering if I still feel the way that I do today, if maybe I'll just want to take a week off and just be like, sorry guys, no video this week. And you know, that's totally fine. Sometimes we're just trying to avoid burnout a little bit, and I can tell that I've been feeling a little bit more anxious than usual and a little bit more stressed. So I'm just trying to make sure that this booktube continues to stay a hobby and not like a chore or an extra stressor or anything like that. So that was just a little bit of yapping on my part, but I just kind of wanted to let you know what I've been doing the last few days that was not reading, because I had a really good time. But that being said, I am probably going to do a little bit more reading here tonight. I'm honestly kind of hoping that I'll finish the book maybe tomorrow, and then we'll be able to go ahead and see what our next read is going to be. Hello everyone. I just want to start by apologizing because my neighbor is blowing their driveway off. So you can probably hear that going, but I have gone ahead and finished my book. So I wanted to go ahead and, oh, my cat is leaving. Well, now he's not in the background, so I'm going to sit in this chair. All right, but I have gone ahead and finished my book, and it only took me 11 hours and 45 minutes to read one book that is 479 pages. So I guess, I mean, it is a little bit on the longer side, but I thought I would finish it sooner. I really thought I would finish it sooner. I was hoping to finish it around like the 10-hour mark. When I got to like 9.5 hours, I was like, well, maybe I can get the last few pages here done in the next half hour. I think the large text kind of throws me off, and also this doesn't look like it's almost 500 pages, so I was probably thinking it was just going to be a shorter story than it actually was, but alas. The good news is I had a really good time with this book. I will definitely be continuing the series, especially because the way that it ended. These books, chances are they're gonna end like in the middle of something intense or on a cliffhanger of some sorts, and so you're always eager to pick up volume 2. I will be picking it up as soon as possible. Not really sure when that's gonna be. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be in June. and it is June 1st. So maybe in July. I do have quite a few books already planned for July. Oh, and now they're gonna mow the lawn. So again, I apologize. But yeah, it might be a couple months or so before I can get into the next volume. That's just life. So many books to read, not enough time. I don't know yet when I want to go ahead and rate this. Lately, I've been struggling a little bit with rating books. Like in the month of May, I really was just like, usually I feel like when I finish a book, I pretty instantly know what I want to rate it. But for some reason, for the last month or so, I've really had to like sleep on it a little bit. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and sleep on it. And figure out what I want to rate this. But like I said, I had a lot of fun with this. This book made me laugh quite a bit. It was a little bit ridiculous, this story, in a good way. I really feel like this book was just like you spending your entire time wanting Moron to stop being a moron. To get his head out of his ass and to realize that his Shizun is the one that he loves. The universe was like literally putting out the signs in front of him in neon lights. Like you like your Shizun. Like that is the reality. And he's just like, it's really weird that I keep like thinking about him, and all these situations just keep making it seem like other people in the universe thinks I like him, but I don't understand like why it's doing that. And I'm like, hello, wake up. But throughout the story, it's just like he's kind of a dumb guy. Okay, he is a little bit of a dumb guy. He spent the first 14 years of his life living in a brothel with no formal education whatsoever. So it's only been like a couple years since he's had any sort of education. And like I've said in the past, the guy's kind of emotionally stunted. And obviously his Shizun's behavior is not helping at all either, because he's being very cold and aloof and stuffing all of his feelings down as well. But as the story was progressing, the signs were becoming more and more obvious, and I was just like, there was a few times where I was like literally screaming at this book. But hey, reading is supposed to be fun, and this was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely eager to pick up the next volume, because we definitely unfortunately ended in the middle of a rather high stakes situation. So I would like to see what happens next. But that being said, I have already picked out the next book that I want to read. Now, I was initially gonna like look at my bingo board and be like, let's be strategic about this. But then I was like, I kind of know what I want to read. After reading this, I was kind of in a sci-fi fantasy mood, and the other two books that were on the same row as this book, as well as First Creation, was a historical book and a contemporary, and then there's a manga on there. And so I decided to move to another row. Now, the book I'm about to show you is on the same row as First Creation. It's just that very bottom row, and that is August Kitko and the Mechas from Space by Alex White. This book, I feel like I am constantly wanting to pick it up, and when I put it on this TBR, I was like really hoping that I would be able to get to it. So I am gonna go ahead and pick this book up. It is a little bit longer at about 420 pages, but it does also have slightly larger text. I mean, of course, I thought I would read this quicker because it had larger text, but what I'm saying is hopefully I can read this within 12 hours, essentially in the second half of this video. So this is a sci-fi story. It is a standalone as far as I know. And in this book, our main character is called Gus, and he is a pianist. And essentially, humanity is notified that there are these mech robots that are coming to Earth to destroy it, and they're like, yeah, that's a war we're not gonna win. So we had a good run, and now we're all gonna die. And essentially, our character is playing the piano at this rock star's house, kind of a big farewell humanity party, and the mech robots land, and lo and behold, one of these mech robots actually ends up saving our character. And it seems like there is a small group of these mechs that is actually wanting to protect humanity. Now, it mentions here that he is chosen to join a small group of traitorous mechs and their pilots dedicated to saving us all. So I'm assuming there are people or some sort of aliens that are piloting these mech robots. So I am definitely intrigued. The story is supposed to be queer, with a little ragtag group of queer characters from what I hear, and I really enjoy stories that have a little bit of queer found family going on in them. I feel like I haven't said what the prompts are for the books that I'm reading based off of the bingo board. This book was to read a book by a POC author, and first creation is a 5-star prediction. I'm starting to wonder if maybe I should not have put it as a 5-star prediction, because while I really love Mars Adler's books, I technically have not given them 5 stars yet. And this book being under 100 pages, really short stories don't always work for me, but we're staying optimistic. We're staying optimistic despite the fact that I have been neglecting that book. And this book, the prompt was just to pick a sci-fi, from what I remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this book. It is Monday evening, so we've been going strong for a little under 5 days here. I'm staying optimistic that I will be able to finish this vlog by this Thursday. I don't have anything really crazy going on for the rest of the week. Don't have any sort of like doctor's appointments or anything that'll keep me away from reading. I will say that I am kind of trying to decide if I want to refilm my wrap up, because I really felt like what I filmed yesterday for my May wrap up was just not it. I just don't really feel good about it, and so I kind of want to refilm it. So I'm thinking about maybe showering tonight and washing my hair, and then tomorrow during my lunch break maybe filming that wrap up, which obviously will take an hour away from reading, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. I want to put out good quality content, and I don't want to put out stuff that I'm not happy with. But that is the current update with this vlog. We have kind of reached the halfway point when it comes to time, so I'm assuming we're about halfway through the vlog. I have a feeling that I will probably only be reading 3 books in this vlog, 2 physical books and 1 ebook, but 3 books in a vlog is pretty normal for me, so not too mad about that. But I might check in with you guys tomorrow, Tuesday evening, or I might wait until Wednesday, seeing as I'm not sure yet what my plans are for tomorrow, revolving around that filming and everything. But I will talk to you later. All right, guys, so it is Wednesday. I'm just starting my lunch break, so I figured I would do a little bit of a check-in here. We are 14 and a half hours into this 24-hour reading challenge. I will say that my goal of completing this before Thursday, or not before Thursday, but even on Thursday, is just not going to happen. I have quite a few things that I just need to get done, so I'm not going to have a ton of time for reading over the next few days, but that's life for you, and that's totally fine. You know, we're not too much on a time crunch with this challenge or anything, so I'm trying to keep it kind of chill. But that being said, I have made some more progress in first creation. I'm 56 pages into this book, so I'm almost 60% through it. Since it is such a short book, I kind of want to keep my thoughts till I actually read it in its entirety. I'm not enjoying it quite as much as I have the author's other works, which is unfortunate because this was a 5-star prediction, but I am still enjoying their writing and everything, so I will definitely be focusing on finishing that. I did go ahead and start August Kitco and the Mechas from Space. I am exactly 60 pages through this. I was almost worried that I would have to DNF this book because, oh my gosh, the sci-fi jargon and musical terminology on top of like these really in-depth, complex like fight scenes between the robots that were happening just had me going like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what's happening. Like, I literally felt like I was reading a book that was partially written in another language. It was getting to the point where I was almost like dissociating while I was reading it because it was just like a bunch of nonsense to me that I just like faded off and started thinking about other things. But I think what's really saving it for me right now is that we're following two characters. Our main character is Gus, who is the pianist that I believe I mentioned when I was talking about the synopsis. But there is also Ardent Violet, and Ardent Violet is this rock star or pop star, very famous, and they and Gus kind of hook up at this party that is being thrown in celebration of humanity finding a way to fight these robots. So essentially what has been happening is that humanity has like a ton of little colonies out there, but these big mech robots have been going in and systematically destroying them and killing everyone on those colonies. And at this point, it is believed that all of the colonies are gone and only Earth remains. And humanity has sent out their, you know, kind of Hail Mary, the machine that's supposed to save them all. They're all getting together to celebrate this, and then it gets destroyed, like really easily. They're like, it was a little embarrassing for humans, I'm gonna be honest. And so it kind of turns from a celebration party into a we're all gonna die, so we might as well live it up party. And they had spent a few days together and really enjoyed each other's company. However, Gus wanted to spend his final moments with someone who was special to him, and so he was like, Argent, you're really special to me. I know we just kind of met, but I think we have a really good connection. I'd like to spend my final moments with you. There's no one else I'd rather do that with. And Argent, on the other hand, let me make sure I'm saying their name. Ardent, not Argent, sorry, Ardent. It's not a name I'm very familiar with. Ardent is like, I have been a celebrity for like the last at least 10 or so years. I have all these fans that follow me around, and I have, you know, obviously the people that I work with and who have made me who I am today. I want to spend my final moments with them as well, you know, and they kind of disagree on how they want to spend their final moments. So they kind of go their separate ways because of that. However, the robots attack and things don't quite go as expected because this big robot lands. Everyone's like, all right, here we go. But then another robot comes in and starts fighting it. Now, this book is compared to Pacific Rim, and I realized that I'm not someone who can really follow a fight scene. The only reason I knew what was going on during this fight scene is because I've watched Pacific Rim a few times, so I was literally just visualizing the battles from that movie. And so if you're a fan of Pacific Rim, that you're definitely going to enjoy this book, at least up to this point that I've read. And what happens is that the robots kind of, the way they communicate, their language is in a way kind of musical, and Gus, being our pianist, is really good with music, and he starts accompanying on the piano, you know, his swan song in a way, you know, just playing and jamming along with the sound of these robots battling. And then one of them snatches him and stuffs him in its chest. And it lets him know that the two of them can work together if he allows it to access like his mind, and they can win this battle, and that could save humanity at this time. And the reason it can do this is because the robots move across the universe alongside these beings known as, I think they were calling them like gold ghosts or something. What were they called? Let me look it up real quick. Gilded ghosts, sorry. So they're called the gilded ghosts. And essentially what happens is that these gilded ghosts, they land alongside the robots, and then they go and they attack people. And they're almost like these cat-like beings that can turn into like nets, and they will like capture a human, and then they will bite into their brains and they will absorb everything they know, all their knowledge, their personality. And this has obviously given them a big leg up, because if they're able to absorb all the knowledge of people, it makes it a little easier for them to fight humans because they know all their weaknesses. And obviously if they get their hands on someone who knows some confidential information, yeah. And essentially this robot says, if you allow me to access your mind, it allows me to have access to all the information that these ghosts have accumulated, which will allow me to access all of the fighting knowledge of humanity. And then I can beat this other robot using that. And Gus is like, okay, that might shatter my mind. You know, he's probably gonna go brain dead and be overwhelmed from this happening, but for humanity's sake, he says, let's go, let's do it. And they win, and Gus actually ends up surviving. And as the robot kind of like deposits him, like, all right, thanks. I used you and now I'm done with you. Ardent is there to rescue him, and the two of them are kind of picked up by the world government, and all the government figures and military figures are like, okay, how are we going to use whatever the hell just happened there to our advantage? And that's kind of where we are right now. So I have a feeling that they're probably going to study him a little bit and figure out how he was able to connect with this robot and survive that, and hopefully use this to their benefit in the future, because I'm assuming this robot's probably going to be willing to make that connection again. And the back kind of made it sound like there might be more mech robots that may be willing to take on pilots such as Gus to fight these other robots or mechs that have been dominating the universe for so long. So this is in a futuristic society. Like, I have to admit, when I went into this book, I kind of thought it would be set in present day, but it is futuristic. Like I said, humans have colonized a bunch of planets. For the most part, they've been wiped out, but this is kind of humanity's last stand. And I am intrigued. Now, like I said, I was struggling a lot with the writing because I was just like, who, what, when, and why. But I feel like what really saved me is that I loved Ardent. Like, I really connected to this character right away. There was something about them that was just so refreshing. They were the kind of person who just lives loudly and to the fullest. They are a celebrity. They are, a pop star, rock star. I don't really know which of them, but, they love to have people's attention and they love to be in the middle of things. And it was just really funny watching their perspective, because obviously everyone is running for their lives as these robots are battling, and Ardent is like, front row seats, please. I would like front row seats. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna have a VIP mosh pit view of the greatest battle ever to happen in the universe. And I just feel like they're gonna be a really fun character. I also enjoy a non-binary character, and they just seem like they're gonna be a really tough, brave, and likable character. And Gus seems fine as well, but I just think Ardent overshadows him quite a bit. So what I'm saying right now is that I'm struggling a little bit with the writing, just because it's written in such a way that I sometimes find myself a little lost in the sauce. But plot-wise, so far I'm definitely intrigued, and I do enjoy the characters. So we'll see if we're just following these two characters, or if we'll meet any other characters along the way as they form maybe this little ragtag group of pilots to hopefully save humanity. But that is the start of that. I have a feeling that I'm not going to be finishing this in the vlog like I initially wanted to, because of the writing and just all of the terminology and jargon and whatnot that is being thrown my way that I'm not familiar with. So it's going to be a little bit of a slower read, but that is just how it works in these challenge vlogs. Sometimes you don't complete books, but hopefully I will be able to talk about it enough in this vlog for you to decide if it's something you want to pick up. Otherwise, I'll obviously be talking about it in my June wrap up. But that is my status update for now, so I will talk to you whenever I next talk to you. Not too shabby. The oven is always hotter in the back. So I was watching the front and it's pretty much perfect, but the back got a little bit burnt. We'll see how it tastes, because I kind of took a recipe and very loosely followed it. Essentially this was supposed to be like a rice casserole, but I used orzo. So I pre-cooked orzo, and then I roasted all the veggies, which were zucchini, onions, and tomatoes, as well as cannellini beans, and I roasted those in a little bit of vegetable broth and pesto. And then I mixed the orzo with some pesto as well, because I feel like pesto is relatively mild. And then I added a little bit of seasoning, obviously salt and pepper, some garlic powder. I added some fresh garlic as well, and then some onion powder, as well as just some Italian seasoning. And then I went ahead and just topped it with some mozzarella cheese. So fingers crossed it tastes good, because it certainly looks good. Hello everyone. I am on my 15-minute break, first 15-minute break of the day on Thursday, and we have almost reached the 16-hour mark. I, as suspected, did not do much reading yesterday. Did not read a single page of this. However, I did finish First Creation, so that's why I wanted to go ahead and check in with you to give my final thoughts on this book. I feel like I don't have too many thoughts on it. It was about like 92 pages. It's a relatively short story. This was technically a 5-star prediction based off of the fact that I enjoyed the author's other work and the fact that I was intrigued by the plot, because I really enjoy religious horror, and that's what this is. But unfortunately, I think I'm gonna give it like a 3-star. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like there's this bird that is just like really loud and really annoying, so it keeps distracting me. But I think that the formatting of the book played a little bit of a role in me struggling to read it because it really messed with my flow, and that's on me. That's on me. When I buy from this author, they send the book copy in 3 different formats, and I downloaded the wrong one. I think I did like a PDF, so when I was reading it, it wasn't set up like a usual Kindle book. I have now since uploaded the other books in the correct format, which is the EPUB version instead of the PDF. So hopefully I will have a better time reading them because I won't constantly be like zooming in because the text is so teeny tiny and everything. So it was a little bit of a difficult reading experience. So I want you to keep that in mind when I talk about this book, because I do think that unfortunately it impacted my enjoyment of it a little bit because I was like literally struggling to read it. And other than that, I still enjoyed the author's writing. It's definitely on par with, you know, what they've done in their other work, where it's very haunting and beautiful with a lot of erotic undertones, which is something I really enjoy in their work. But I also feel like this felt like a little bit of a prequel. I think that this is going to be the first book in a series, maybe. The author definitely left it open where there could be a lot of interesting things that happen down the line. But I think I kind of mentioned that you feel like you're kind of plopped into the story, and I never really felt like I got fully settled into the story. We are following 2 perspectives, and based off who we're following during a different time. So there is our angel whose name is something. I can't remember their name, because even when I was like reading it, I was like, every time their name came up, I was like struggling, like getting all tongue-tied over it. So I can't remember it off the top of my head. So we have our angel, and then we have our demon, our fallen angel, Stolas. And when we're following the angel, we're following in like the current timeline. And when we're following Stolas, we get a couple of flashbacks, so that we get like a little bit of background for how we got to the current timeline. But I feel like there was still so much left unsaid that I was feeling a little bit unsatisfied with the story, unfortunately. But I will say that the concept is very interesting. It's very much, there is something wrong in heaven. It's been a very gradual rot to the point that the angels don't realize they're changing, that heaven is changing. This kind of rot and wrongness has spread to even hell, where it's impacting the demons and it's impacting the war. And our characters suspect that it could eventually start to impact Earth and humans. God seems to have kind of abandoned them, and they're not really sure why God has done this when heaven and the angels are going through this really disturbing metamorphosis of sorts. So it's a really cool concept. I just think that it all felt up maybe like a little bit too vague for me, where a story like this, I do think I want it to be a little bit more fleshed out, a bit of a longer, more in-depth story where we really get a background to how heaven works, how the war has been going, what's normal for an angel's behavior, maybe a little bit more about Stolas' past, since he fell a very long time ago, even before our angel character was even created. So just getting to learn more about him and his upbringing in hell, and him working his way up the ranks in the demon army and things. There's a lot of interesting things that we just got like little snippets of, little morsels of. And if I read this in like a short story collection, I would be like, oh, that's really cool. I hope that the author takes this and turns it into a full-length novel, because every once in a while authors do that. So I'm glad I read it. but unfortunately not my favorite from this author. So with that being said, I am gonna pick up another book by them, the one that I have actually been the most eager to read, which might seem surprising considering it's not the 5-star prediction. You would think the 5-star prediction was the one I was the most eager to read, but not quite. And that is Made in Blood, I believe is the title of it. And this is a horror novel. I mean, all their novels are considered horror or horror adjacent, but this one I am really excited for. It's kind of set in a post-apocalyptic setting. It's a very taboo story because it has a romantic, or at very least like physical relationship between a father and a son. Essentially, we have 3 people, a father, a son, and a third person. I can't remember exactly how they're related, but they are out scavenging, and I think that they have to seek shelter in either some sort of cave system or structure of sorts, and there is something within the structure that seems to be haunting them, changing them. The way that they are interacting with each other, who they are as people, seems to be changing in not a good way. So I'm really eager to pick that up. I will probably start reading that today when I go to the gym, since I tend to pick my audiobooks up a little bit when I'm at the gym. But for the rest of today, I will go ahead and try to make some more progress in this book, since I don't think I have as much on my plate today. Yesterday was a pretty busy day, but today should be a little bit more chill, though of course starting tomorrow and then the rest of the weekend it's going to be kind of go go go. Got a lot of stuff going on, so I have a feeling that this vlog is definitely going to go into next week, but that's okay. What can I say? I honestly didn't expect that I was the kind of person who would read 24 hours within a week period. I know myself. I know that I don't unfortunately read as much as I would like to, but I am still curious to see exactly how long it takes me to finish off this vlog. But we're in no rush or anything like that, so we're just gonna go ahead and keep cruising, and I will go ahead and check in with you guys whenever I happen to check in with you guys.
But your parents came in the cul-de-sac, leaned back in a leather-clad seat, pack of spirits in your Prada bag. Suburban summer 17 was a roller coaster ride, a manic pixie dream girl right beside me. And she said she liked me, but I bet it was a right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd held on tight, she'd still be sitting by my side. I'll never know, I'll never know. I don't like messing with regrets, but I doubt she'd ever leave my head. What could I have done, could I have said? I'll never know, I'll never know. Oh, I'll never know, I'll never know. We were nothing alike, and I kinda like that. Came from different sides of the crosstown tracks. Guess it's true sometimes opposites attract, but it never lasts. So maybe it was just the right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd held on tight, she'd still be sitting by my side. I'll never know, I'll never know. I don't like messing with regrets, but I doubt she'd ever leave my head. What could I have done, could I have said? I'll never know, I'll never know. Oh, I'll never know, I'll never know. Oh, I'll never know, I'll never know. You made a country club pool feel like Malibu Beach. Sure, your parents had money, but you like to drink cheap. Should've known the first moment you're out of my league, but you said you liked me. Oh, I bet it was a right thing lining up at the wrong time. And I think maybe if I'd
everyone. It has been a little while since I have checked in with you, and I have not read a single page since I have last checked in with you. So yeah, I did not read on Friday. I did not read on Saturday. I did not read on Sunday, and it is 8 o'clock at night on Monday, and I have not read a single page to this point. Yep, I've done a lot of things. I've gone to Portland, visited my friend. We were doing the Portland book crawl. I didn't really vlog that or anything because I just kind of wanted to be in a moment. And also, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like vlogging in bookstores. I find it very stressful. I think it's because it's causing like two of my hobbies to like really overlap, and I just want to like enjoy the hobby of browsing a bookstore and looking at book synopses and buying books and not having to worry about my other hobby of booktube. So those two don't overlap very well, but I had a great time in Portland, and then she came up with me and we ended up doing some book shopping up here as well. So that was a really fun time. I was really glad we were able to spend that time together. And my parents are currently traveling. They are going to be back tomorrow evening. So I have the house to myself, which has been nice. And I have been staying busy. I baked some cookies, macadamia nut with white chocolate, and I made a bit of a boo-boo with that. I was eating that cookie and I was like, wow, that was the saltiest cookie I've ever ate. And that is because I accidentally bought macadamia nuts with sea salt, and the recipe already asked for a teaspoon of salt, so there was a teaspoon of salt in it plus 3/4 cup of salty macadamia nuts. Yeah, so that's a bummer because the cookies look delicious. Like they literally came out and I was like, wow, I've never baked more perfect cookies. And I can barely eat it because it's so salty. And I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can do to like mellow out the salty flavor. I'll have to look it up. Like if I need to pair it with something, like some fresh fruit, we'll try to make it work. I'm not gonna waste the cookies because nuts are expensive, okay? So I'm gonna keep trying to eat those cookies. I'll just be very thirsty later from all of the sodium that I'm eating. I also made myself some ramen. That was good. I reorganized my red shelves because I've been wanting to do that for a while. So it's like the shelf that is behind me in videos, and then one of the shelves next to my bed. And I will go ahead and kind of take you through that later, probably tomorrow. The sun is starting to go down. It's been a very rainy, dreary day. But other than that, that has been life. Also, my cat threw up on my bed. On my bed. Not in my bedroom. On my bed. That was fun. Also, he keeps trying to eat animals in my parents' closet. I guess he just decided that's where he likes to eat his snacks now. And I'm like, listen, it's Pride Month. It's time to get out of the closet. But no, seriously, like why is he dragging like a whole rabbit into the closet? Anyway, life has been a little chaotic, but also fun. And I am having the same issue, unfortunately, that I had last year, which is that I went into a massive reading slump in June. And it took me like a really long time to get out of it. So I am already trying to like take preemptive measures to prevent myself from spending the rest of 2026 in a slump. Like I wouldn't say I spent all of the second half of 2025 in a slump, but it was a bit of a struggle. And does that mean that I don't want to read any of the books that I put in my TBR? Yeah, That's exactly what that means. 25 books. And not one of them do I want to read. I'm going to be totally honest. There is only one book in this entire world that my brain will let me read right now. One book in the whole universe. And it is one that I ended up purchasing this weekend because I read the first book in the series and I want to continue it. Yes, you know what it is because I just read the first book. And that is The Husky and His White Cat Shih Volume 2. Yep, there she is. I went ahead and bought it this weekend down in Portland. I was lucky my friend spotted it on sale. That's what the little dot means. So I bought Volume 2 and 3 because they were $13 when usually the books are $20. Plus, in Portland, it's Oregon. And you don't have to pay sales tax. You do in Washington. So this was a lot cheaper than what I would usually have to pay. I only bought volume 2 and 3 because when I was reading the other Don Me novel that I read, which is Heaven's Official Blessing, it wasn't really until book 3 that I really started to get into the story. And so I was like, well, I will for sure, even if I don't like this one, try to give it at least 3 volumes to really give the story time to progress and develop. And so I appreciate being able to save that money. But yes, I have not read anything for 4 days. I have tried to tell myself to read time and time again, and I have just constantly found other things to do just so that I wouldn't have to read, but my mind keeps coming back to this story. And so this is what I'm gonna read. I know that it's not what you were expecting. It's not what I was expecting. I usually don't like to read multiple books in a series in a vlog. I'm not much of a binge reader when it comes to series, and I especially don't do it like in the same vlog because I was hoping for a little bit more variety, but instead, this is what we have. I'm giving you what I can give you. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read for 24 hours, and I did not think that it would take this long. Today is the 8th, and I started this a couple days before the end of the month, I believe. So we've probably been going on for about 10 days at least at this point. So we gotta get it going. So I'm gonna go ahead and sit back, relax, enjoy my evening here on my own. I'm not gonna give you a synopsis of this because I already gave you a synopsis of the first book, and I have no idea what is going to happen in this second volume. I'm gonna, oh, here's a little stamp with the from the bookstore. This is a bookstore called Always Here, which is a queer bookstore in Portland, meaning all the books in it are queer, and I love that bookstore. I've been to it a couple times now. So I really like when bookstores are either all queer or have queer sections, because it is so exhausting to like go through shelves trying to like pick and choose and see which books are queer, especially when covers don't have like people on them, so you can't really tell what is queer. And I'm usually looking for queer books, so it just makes it a lot more of a enjoyable shopping experience if I can just like have a section where I'm like, yes, this is where the books that I'm interested in are. But if you're ever in Portland, Oregon, make sure you check out Always Here bookstore. Show them some love. But yes, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading, and I'm assuming it'll just go ahead and start off where the other one left off. I mean, look at that. It says chapter 46, so it's not even chapter 1 because it's literally just continuing from the other one. And the last one ended with a little confession where I was like, okay, let's see where we go from here. So I will check in with you when I've actually done some reading. right, guys, as promised, I have my shelves that I went ahead and rearranged yesterday. This is my pile of shame where I just throw clothes, so just ignore that. But this is the shelf that is next to my bed. So I moved, I guess I don't want to call it like overflow, but it kind of is. It's books that I don't like talk about as often, and honestly it is my straight books for the most part. If you look at the top shelf, you can see the book that I started yesterday. It does have all of my read nonfictions. There's me and my sister, and then this is just literally just like random books. A couple of these are too tall to fit on the other shelves because these shelves are, you know, they don't have like a lot of room, so taller, especially like hardbacks, can't really fit on them. This right here is gonna be a little bit of an overflow of my queer books. Here are a couple other books that I'm in the process of I mean, this one I haven't started, but I keep thinking about starting it, so I just put it here. We'll see. Like I said yesterday, I am slumping really hard, and yes, my brain was like, I want to read this, but now that I've read a few pages of it, my brain is almost like, okay, that's all I needed. So we're fighting for our life here, guys. But yes, here are some other overflow books, a lot of romances, and then a couple dystopian and sci-fi thriller, and just a thriller. And then down here on the bottom two shelves, we have a lot of series that are older, and then down here we have some young adult and children's books. I ended up moving my TJ Klune books just because I haven't been as happy with his newer work, so I don't really consider him like an all-time favorite author anymore, but I did still enjoy these, so I'm gonna keep them, but I don't feel like they need to be in the background of my videos all the time, so that's why I went ahead and moved them over here. And then just some older series that I liked when I was younger, and then, you know, Fonda Lee kind of there in the middle. But then if we come over here, we will see a very cute kitty cat who kept waking me up multiple times last night, starting at 2 o'clock in the morning. So now he's obviously tired because he was up all night, and so was I. Here are the shelves that you usually see in the background of my videos. Let me back up a little to see if I can just like get it all in one shot. So the only two shelves that I didn't end up doing anything to is the C.S. Pacat shelf. And I mean, I made a couple changes, but not a lot, to that bottom right shelf that has the Criminal Intentions series. Starting down here, because I barely made any changes, really there was some books at the very end that I went ahead and just moved away because it just didn't look good. And I did go ahead and take a couple books out of this stack as well, and I did end up adding the Traveling Cat Chronicles there. It was on the top shelf, but really primarily everything on this shelf is queer. I really just want to prioritize queer books on my background, so you really kind of know what kind of channel this is. This over here is honestly like a little bit of just like a random overflow when it comes. I didn't really have much of a plan when I was moving books around. It was just kind of based off of what looked good together. If I'm being totally honest, they're not grouped by like authors or even genres that much. So this is a little bit of overflow. This shelf luckily has some room to grow, especially since I'm starting another Dawn Me series. It's good that this has quite a bit of wiggle room on it. This right here is featuring my beautiful 10-year special edition of Song of Achilles with all of Lily May's Monstrous series on one side, and then a bunch of other queer books, a little bit on the darker side, I would say, where, you know, we have Chuck Tingle, Dowry of Blood, and A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, which is dealing with a monster romance as well. Then going up, that was the shelf I didn't change. As you can see, these are the only TJ Klune books that I kept, which are the special editions of the what's this called, Green Creek series, and each of these books represents a different season. Like this one's spring, so since we're in spring, that's the one that's facing out. So that is why I'm keeping them. I don't know if I can kind of like come up here a little bit. You can see that they have these really lovely sprayed edges. I don't feel like messing with that or anything. Then we have my All for the Game series and some other romances. And then going up here, we have just some more books, a couple of series. Here, my favorite book of 2025. That's why it gets a little special treatment here. Summer Suns, Iron Widow, and Rincha Pecco's series, Silver Under Nightfall. And then this is honestly mostly young adult queer novels that I have really enjoyed, except for Futbolista, which I would say is more new adult. I think the rest of these would be considered young adults. So those are my shelves. I am quite happy with them, but obviously, as I continue to read books and add them to my shelves, they will continue to fluctuate. I don't even want to talk about my unread shelves because the bottom one is double stacked right now, because I wanted to just dedicate this whole shelf to my June TBR that I am apparently not even touching. So that right there, once June is over, just needs to be fixed because it's a disaster. But here's one more look at my really fat cat, really chungy, just the way we like. And I will talk to you guys later. All right, so I'm gonna use this bookmark because there is this willow spirit that is featured in the storyline that we were following at the end of volume 1 and the start of volume 2. So this is in honor of that tree spirit and hopefully it stays. I always like the look of bookmarks like this, but they are a little trickier than just like the flat paper ones, and I might get annoyed with it and just switch it out. But for now, this is the vibe. Hello everyone. Wow, the lighting really brings out the gray in my hair here, but we love to see it. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of a check-in. It is Wednesday, June 10th. This vlog is going on and on and on, but we have crossed the 19-hour mark. So we are down to the last 5 hours of this vlog, and so I thought I would do a little bit of an update. Yesterday my parents came home from their trip, so I didn't do too much reading because we were yapping a little bit, updating each other on our separate little adventures. So it was good to catch up with them, and their trip went relatively well. They headed over to primarily Idaho, I want to say. They were mostly doing a little bit of a biking trip, so they were doing a lot of biking around that area, but they had good luck with weather, which is good. I had good luck with weather. When we were first checking like the weather apps, it was just like rain, 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 but luckily we both had plenty of sunny breaks to enjoy the outdoor world without getting too wet. But let me tell you one thing about spring weather here in Washington, or even just like the Northwest, also down in Oregon, it's a little bipolar. You never know what you're gonna get, okay? You can look at the weather app and just be like, that means nothing to me because it might not even end up being rainy or it might not be sunny. Who knows? You just gotta pack for every possible type of weather. But that being said, like I said, I have read for 19 hours. Let's talk a little bit about the ebook that I'm reading, which is Made of Blood by Mars Adler. I did make some progress in that yesterday while I was at the gym. I'm at 56 pages, I think was around where I'm at, a little bit under 60 pages. The story is really starting to get into the horror aspect. It has been a rather gradual build where we're following our characters. They're in this old abandoned military base, and they need to stay there to stay out of the storm, but they definitely have a weird feeling about it, especially our main character, whose name is, I'm gonna skip over the AI answer, Julian, not Jason. And Callum is his son, and then Roy is the third person. Anyway, so Julian feels especially uncomfortable about this whole situation. So when they first arrived, they all kind of split up to just check out the area, and Julian lost like a couple hours. Like, he came back and they're like, "Where the heck were you?" And he was like, "I literally don't feel like I lost any time, but clearly I was gone for like a few hours, and that makes me really nervous. I don't think we should stay here, but because of the storm, they just don't really have a choice." However, at this point in the story, they have all woken up and have lost time, like multiple hours, and they seem to be underground because it's a military facility. The structure goes more like underground, and they are trying to figure out how they got there, and Callum is acting really weird. It's clear that this environment is impacting him a little bit more than it's impacting the older men, Roy and Julian. And Julian, as his father, is like really concerned. He's like, "This is the first time I've ever been kind of like scared of my son," but his behavior is just a little unhinged. You know, he's acting a little bit stony baloney. He's acting a little bit hypnotized. So this environment is already starting to like mentally impact our characters, and I'll be intrigued to see where we go from here. Like I said, this is a taboo relationship between father and son. So far, there hasn't been any sort of sign that either of them have any sort of inappropriate feelings for each other. However, since this environment is clearly like mentally impacting them to the point where they're not quite themselves, I'm not sure if that inappropriate relationship is going to be between them while they're not quite themselves. But either way, I am enjoying it, and will definitely be continuing to read it because I want to see what happens next. We're definitely getting into the horror aspect of it. It seems to be more of a psychological horror at this time, and I don't mind that. I'm having a good time with it. And then as far as the husky and his white cat Shizun, we're continuing to make progress in that. 114 pages into it. I feel like with this book, I'm just kind of trying to figure out where we're going with it, like what is the end goal of the story. But I also kind of need to remember that this book is, or the series is 11 books long. So, you know, it's not like we're going to have the end goal presented within book 2. We're probably going to have like multiple plot arches throughout this story, and we're just kind of going to be following these characters as they continue to live their lives. Our character is definitely starting to notice some changes in the timeline of things. Obviously, he's already lived this life because he's been reborn. However, things are happening differently, and not just because he's obviously making different choices. Obviously, every time he makes a different choice, he's gonna go branch off onto another path and things are gonna be different. But there are certain events that his actions wouldn't impact that are happening differently. And he's like, I don't understand how that is so different from the first time around. So he is a little bit concerned about why things are happening the way they are and why things are progressing more quickly, and there seems to be more danger in the world than the first time, which is interesting. And essentially what I believe this book is going to be following is there is this sect of people who are half immortal and half mortal, and usually they kind of keep to themselves, but when some sort of a disaster is about to appear, they will sometimes go into the mortal realm to help because they are part mortals, so they care what happens to the mortals. And they arrive at our character's sect and are like, hey, the barrier between the living and the dead grows weaker and weaker, which is well known, but it's coming to the point where it's probably gonna break, and we need to kind of prepare for this onslaught of ghosts and demons coming into our world. And so we're gonna take a few people from here, bring them back to our place, and really train them so that they can not only fight these ghosts, but hopefully repair the barrier to the point where it actually doesn't let ghosts through it anymore. And our character is really scared about this because he's like, this is happening too soon. And last time this was kind of like the instigating event that led to the death of the boy that he loves. And so he's like, oh my gosh, why is this happening so soon? I thought I had more time. But things are happening a little bit differently. It seems like last time this sect came and took people to train, they didn't take him, but this time they are taking him. And he's like, okay, things are going differently. This time I can go with them and I will be trained to be strong enough to protect him so he hopefully does not die. So we are probably going to have some cool training sequences as well as a change of scenery, which is exciting. And maybe with like learning more about this sect and everything, we'll get some more world building. Another thing that's kind of funny. So Chu Wenning is the leader, their teacher, and they think that he has been in isolation, kind of like meditating and working on his cultivation skills for like multiple months at this point. But what actually happened is that he got cursed to turn into a 6-year-old child. Like mentally, he's still himself, but he is in the body of a 6-year-old child, and he doesn't want anyone to know, but he's been hanging out with them. So they're just hanging out with this child and they don't know that it's their teacher. They think he's just like this prodigy because they're like, oh my God, you're just like so strong, because he still kept his level of cultivation that he had as a teacher. And he's coming along with them. So we're going to have the whole gang together at this new sect kind of training and everything, but it's just really humorous to have him as like the 6-year-old kid tagging along with his students, and they have no idea who he is, and I've been enjoying that. So continuing to have fun, and I'm definitely excited to see how this next plot point progresses and what happens. I am definitely hoping that, I'm trying to say, I want to say his name is Shimi, I think might be his name. The boy that he loves. I obviously don't ship them because they're not supposed to be endgame, but he is still obviously a very sweet and good person, and I don't want him to die. So I am hoping that even though our character is obviously gradually going to realize that he might have very strong feelings of friendship and love and loyalty to Shimei, he is not the one that he's romantically interested in. I still want them to be able to spend a life together as like friends and everything, and I don't want him to die. So hopefully he is able to save him in this lifetime and everything. So that is where I am at. I'm not sure if I will check in with you again before I finish the 24 hours. I am hoping to finish Blood Maid in this vlog, but I don't think that I will finish this book in the next 5 hours. probably not, especially if I'm also working on Blood Maid. So chances are I will probably check in with you whenever I finish Blood Maid and then wrap up the vlog to kind of let you know all that I read, which was not what I was planning on reading. But hey, when you're slumping, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I will talk to you later. All right, so it is Thursday. It is June 11th. I made a bit of a boo-boo yesterday. I knew it would happen at some point where I would either forget to turn on the timer while I was reading or forget to turn it off. I forgot to turn it off last night. That timer was running all night long. But from what I remember, I was at a little bit over 20 hours last night. So at this point, I was just like, okay, we're going to start over and just go for another 4 hours. And that should get us to about 24 hours. But the time might be a smidge off because of that mistake that I knew would inevitably happen, and it did. But I have just gone ahead and finished Maid of Blood. Blood Maid? Not me forgetting the name of the title. Here it is. Or the title of the book. There we go. Let me see. Seeing as I just finished it like a few seconds ago, do I need to think on it? The first thought is it's probably like a 3.5 star. I don't think that this book quite did what I was expecting, which was I thought that this book would make me feel scared, that it would make me feel claustrophobic, that would make me feel very anxious. And there were like a few little moments here and there where I definitely was anxious and maybe like a smidge claustrophobic. I never got really scared. There were some body horror aspects to it where I was like a little bit grossed out. If you don't like that, I always forget what it's called, where like there's little holes and you don't like to look at them, you might not want to read this because that is present. That is present. So I did enjoy the body horror aspect of it because I was like, that's kind of gross. But this was kind of giving, I'm trying to think the vibes that it was giving. It was giving a little bit of Alien, I would say. I kind of felt like it took like a smidge of a predictable route, and with this author, I guess I was hoping for something a little more unique, and so I was left a little bit disappointed by it. I would also say that I was hoping this book would be a little bit more taboo with the father-son relationship, which I feel like you could barely say that that's what it was, because they kind of like straight up were barely themselves when that happened, which if you don't want a taboo romance but you're like kind of intrigued by the storyline, you might be like, okay, that's okay. That's a little bit better than them like straight up being father-son. But I guess I had just certain expectations going into the story and they just weren't quite met. But it is definitely more of a psychological horror than anything else, outside of like the occasional body horror that happens a little bit more towards the end. But outside of that, I don't have too much to say about it because I just don't want to give too much about the story away. It's less than 150 pages. Once again, it would be considered like a novella. So I'm keeping it relatively vague. But I was a little disappointed by the two Mars Adler books that I read in this vlog. I went into them both with relatively high expectations. The other one, First Creation, I would say was 3 stars. This one was 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I would still say that the first book I read by them, Apples of New Eden, is my favorite, and then Blood and Flowers is my second favorite from them. At this point, I have read, 5 books? Apples of New Eden, Blood Orange, Blood and Flowers, First Creation, and then now this one that I'm forgetting the name of. Made in Blood, one of those. So I've read 5 of their books, and I definitely am going to continue working my way through their work. But I kind of hope that I don't have like the best behind me. It's always kind of disappointing when you've read like an author and then nothing is as good as the first book you read by them. But that is my update for now. I am going to go ahead and spend the rest of my time working on this book and seeing how far I can get into it. I don't have any delusions about the fact that I'm going to finish this because I am at 21 hours and 40 minutes. So I would say we have less than 3 hours. And while there are plenty of people who could probably read this in 3 hours, I ain't one of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep chugging along. They are just now leaving for their time at this new sect to go ahead and train there. This last few chapters, they were kind of celebrating New Year's, so it was a fun little cozy moment between the characters as they all just brought the new year to a close and started the new year together. And now it's time to get down to business. So I'm excited to jump back into the story, and I will check in with you guys again when it is time for me to wrap up this vlog. I don't know if you can really see it, but his lip, like usually you can't see that black part. It's because this idiot is like eating something in the yard. How puffy his lip is. It's not supposed to look like that. We think that he's eating maybe the slug killer because it's salty, and so he keeps licking it. It shouldn't be like bad for him, but still, I'm sure eating too much of it isn't good. Right? Oh, roly poly. Roly poly, goofy boy. Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Yes, chin scratches. Chin scratches are the best. Yes. You're such a good baby. Your little pawsies. You're big and chunky. Big yawn. Summer evening, strawberries and sugar and shortbread, and a nice summer sunset. All right, everyone, it is time to wrap up this vlog. We have finally reached the 24-hour mark. I reached it this morning. I'm on my lunch break here on Friday. Over a week past the date that I was like, maybe I can finish this video by. No. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what I ended up reading. I will say that I went ahead and spent these last 4 or so hours working on volume 2 of The Husky and His White Cat Shizun. I have reached page 254, so I'm a little bit over halfway through, since a big chunk of this in the back here is all glossary. So I would say I'm about halfway, if not a little bit over halfway through this book. And let me tell you, the Danmei authors, they love to just sprinkle a little bit of trauma in throughout their stories. Like, no one is safe. Not even the children. So we are kind of following our characters as they are going through a trial right now, because they are training at this new sect. Obviously, they're checking in every once in a while to make sure that their skills are progressing. So that is what they're doing. And essentially, they've been put into this illusion of a past event and kind of seeing how they would handle that situation. And our characters are realizing that there might be someone tampering with this test and making it a little bit more dangerous than it should be. So things are definitely a little bit intense right now, and I'm continuing to enjoy this read. I'm probably gonna go ahead, and because I'm planning on doing a second vlog this month where I'm just doing a challenge for a week, I'll probably finish off this book and then jump into that next vlog. But this is my priority read right now, and I am continuing to enjoy it. I feel like I'm not loving it, but I have a feeling that with stories like this, it just, because the plot is, dare I say, a little bit all over the place. Like, I mean, it has a little bit of rhyme and reason to it, but it is also just like multiple small plots kind of plopped together. In a way, I think with stories like this, you just need the time to really grow to love the characters, and then that's when the story will really become superb. So for now, it is definitely something that I enjoy picking up and am always eager to pick up, but I feel like I'm not loving it. But I do feel like the characters are growing on me, so that is a good sign. But let's talk a little bit more about how everything went. So like physical book wise, I'm gonna blow this spider off so that I don't smush them. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, like these like itty bitty little red spiders. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see him. You gotta see him? I just like, get off. No, he's still on there. There, now he's on the table. Okay. So physical book wise, we read this one, volume 1 in its entirety, and then we read 60 pages of this. I'm not sure if I'll pick this up again. I'm definitely not DNFing it, but we'll see if I pop into it later this month or so. But I didn't really make much progress in it, but I did start it, and then obviously we got partially through volume 2. We also finished 2, I would consider them novellas, that were ebooks, and those were both Mars Adler books, which was a first creation. Oh my god, my neighbor's dogs are barking. Can I help you? Anyway, we also, I feel like every time I start talking, they're just going to start barking. So we're just going to ignore them. We also finished Made in Blood. So we ended up finishing a total of 3 books, and then we made progress in a couple more. I went ahead and got my little stats here. So I read a total of 1,030 pages, which I feel like for me isn't too terrible, because usually when I look at my monthly stats, my page count for the whole month is usually in the high 2000s, low 2000s. So I'm not usually reading too many pages, so this wasn't too shabby. Now, this vlog started on May 28th and today is June 12th. So technically we have been working on this for about 16 days. Now, if we think about it realistically, we started this on Thursday evening and then I finished it this morning. So counting those both as full days, I would probably count them more as half days. So that would bring us down to 15 days that we've been reading. There was also 3 whole days during this time that I didn't read a single page because I was either traveling or had visitors, things like that. And so that, I would say, brings us down to like 12 full days where I was actually actively reading for those 24 hours. So I guess that kind of puts it at me averaging about 2 hours of reading a day, which honestly, based off of my schedule, sounds realistic. Am I a slow reader? I think so. I think I would consider myself a relatively slow reader if I'm being totally honest with myself. I think I do need to dedicate a lot of time to reading in order to get a lot of reading done. I also tend not to immersion read or read audiobooks. So I have to like physically make time to sit down and read, because I'm not like doing it while doing chores or driving around or at the gym, listening to audiobooks. And I know a lot of people do that, and I would love to do that. And for a few years, like a couple years, I was doing that, but lately my brain is just like, nah. So I think that this was an interesting video to do to kind of get an idea of how much I read. Will I do it again? I don't know. Probably not something I will do very frequently. I have to admit that if I do it, I know that Amy from A Star Reads has like this little bookmark that has a timer on it, and I would honestly want to get one of those because constantly having to go into my phone's app to hit the timer, there were times where I would have like a few minutes, like just like 5 minutes or so, where I was like, oh, I can maybe just read like a few pages, and then I would be like, oh, I have to go into the timer and start the timer, and then go to the book and start the book, and then turn the timer off, and then I would just like not read. So sometimes I felt like it was just overcomplicating the reading situation for me. So probably not something I will do again, but I do enjoy the occasional reading challenge. Like I said, I'll be doing another vlog, and I believe I put a poll out to see if people wanted the challenge to be page count based or hour based, and I think last time I checked it was page count based, so we'll probably end up doing that, and that might be a little bit more of a success, but we'll see. I do want to go ahead and throw in the occasional challenge video because I feel like I do so many themed vlogs. Let me know if you prefer challenge videos where I kind of just like read whatever, or if you prefer like themed vlogs. Let me know which ones I should usually be doing, because I feel like I prioritize themed vlogs because my brain will be like, these two books are similar and let me find a third and then do a vlog about it, which is fun, but we want a little bit of variety and whatnot. So that being said, that is the vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a decent time with this. Didn't go the way I planned, but hey, that's what happens when you're in a slump. You just gotta go with the flow a little bit. As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!